The Royal Weapons series takes us back to the Aristocracy period of Mondstadt. In this video, I go over these stories, which tell of the aristocracy's fall, and those who rebelled against it 1,000 years ago. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. A longbow used by a noble who ruled over Mondstadt. It was crafted with premium materials and master craftsmanship. For that reason, generations later, it is still as powerful as ever. Hunting was once a pastime of the nobles. They demonstrated their strength in the natural world and shared the spoils with the people in benevolence. Unfortunately, benevolence was lost, and with it, their reign. After the uprising, the Lawrence clan that had long ruled Mondstadt was overthrown. In the name of benevolent governance, the newly established Knights of Avonius deemed that protracted investigations would be unnecessary. The Lawrence clan was promptly cast out from Mondstadt, never to return. On the road bound to our exile, I watched my father sigh with grief, at the betrayal of the people, at the end of a glorious era, at the final chapter of history. We watched the people who were once our subjects rejoicing in the open country as we bid farewell to our homeland. Only years later did I realize it was we, the Lawrence clan, who had betrayed, who had ended a glorious era, and who had closed the history books. Only now was Mondstadt as it always should have been. Vanessa was but the final push that toppled a crumbling tower. Before her, the flames of fury already burned bright, and occasionally the flickering flames had shone through the thick smoke of secrecy. The phantom thief praised in secret by the people, the woman who could see death, the wanderer's troop intent on revolution. The spirit of resistance is in Mondstadters' blood. A Greatsword, once used by nobles who ruled over Mondstadt. It was made using premium materials and master craftsmanship. For that reason, even after being passed down for generations, it is still as good as new. Combat was once a responsibility of the nobles. They protected their people from monsters that threatened peace and stability. Unfortunately, they all but forgot their responsibilities, which turned them into the very monsters they once sought to destroy. Research suggests that gladiatorial combat originated in a religious context during the rule of the aristocracy. Now outlawed by the Knights of Avonius, it began as a sacrificial ceremony held jointly with prayers to the gods. Though the practice was later turned into a perverted sport for the Lawrence clan's pleasure, and subsequently abolished by the Knights, some texts of the original prayers still remain. O guardian winds of Mondstadt, look after me, my friends, my countrymen, and my opponents. May the sound of clashing blades delight you, and may the offering of sweat and blood please you. O winds that guide my path, when I'm exhausted, bless me with the strength to keep going forward. When I'm uncertain, bless me with the wisdom to distinguish good from evil. A delicate scroll, treated with wax to prevent decay and moth damage. It contains the research of royal mages, research which is still rather forward-looking to this day. The royal mages were tasked with nourishing the water and soil, as well as fighting off monsters. They also served as tutors for the nobles. Therefore, the scroll contains a wealth of information regarding history, governance, management, and culture. When the people overthrew the royals, they exiled the royal mages at the same time, for the mages had forsaken their responsibility to instill goodness and virtue in the nobles, instead becoming birds of a feather with them. In the early days of Mondstadt, the Lawrence clan was led by Veneraire. Under her guidance, the people built a tall statue in the plaza to commemorate the miracle of the Animal Archon's descent. The inscription beneath the statue was put there by the leader of all the clans. It bore an oath to protection to Mondstadt that they had sworn. Over the years, the Lawrence clan forsook the noble aspirations of their forebears, and the statue was taken down. The wise mages of the court spoke neither of their history nor of the oath ever again. In the age of Knights of Favonius, the statue was rebuilt, but the wording of the oath on the inscription was lost forever. A longsword, used by a noble who ruled over Mondstadt. It was crafted with premium materials and master craftsmanship. For that reason, even after being passed down for generations, it is still as sharp as ever. Swordsmanship was once a mandatory skill for the nobles. However, it was for the purpose of refining wisdom and elegance, not for use in combat. Unfortunately, wisdom and elegance were eventually all but forgotten. Swordsmanship became a mere formality. 2,600 years ago was the era of Mondstadt's most ancient inhabitants. They swore a solemn oath after the new Animo Archon descended and reformed the world. For Mondstadt, as always. For the verdant plains, for the hills, and for the forests of Mondstadt. May they continue to flourish, as always. For Mondstadt, as always. For the everlasting freedom of Mondstadt from the blizzard and the tyrant, whose coldness and oppression are one and the same. No matter what future woes might befall Mondstadt, whether human tyranny or monster infestation, and even if that tablet is destroyed on which the Oath of Production is written, the oath itself will forever be borne by the winds, gently caressing Mondstadt like a doting lover, firmly defending Mondstadt like a loving father. A lance, once kept in the collection of a noble who ruled over Mondstadt, a product of premium materials and masterful artisanship. For that reason, it remains sharp as it was on the day it was first forged, even many generations after the noble's time ended. But back in the era of the nobility, this weapon never saw the light of day, and bathed only in the pale moonlight. The nobles believed that those of high blood should use swords in battle. To them, the sound of blades clashing was the chorus of the lofty souls. The spear and the bow, on the other hand, were the weapons of plebeian gladiators and commoners. Commoners with pitchforks and sharpened wooden poles, after all, could yet be a match for sword-wielding scions of nobility. This was, undoubtedly, a hard pill for the rulers of old Mondstadt to swallow. Legend has it that there was also a youth of noble stock, who sought out a smith to make this weapon, emblazoned with their house crest, and yet which, like this youth, could never earn the favor of his family. No, not without the spilling of blood. And if that youth wanted change to come, they needed power. Even if it meant using a weapon seen as ignoble. Even if it meant that their spear-wielding shadow could never see any light but that of the deep night's moon. And that's it for the Royal Weapons series. The Aristocracy period was one of the darkest times in Mondstadt's history, and if you want to hear more about it, I also have a video on the Noblesse Oblige artifact set. Also, please give suggestions about what artifact set or weapon series you want me to cover too. I want to go over them all eventually. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.